All right, so Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gage. You don't mind me. We are building. So y'all know, just like Trump, I build houses, and part of building houses is maintaining and organizing. So we're talking about Ilia Topuria versus Justin Gage and President Donald Trump in attendance at the White House. This is what happened with Ilia Topuria. He changed his camp. It's the same thing that happened to Khamzat Chimaev. He changed his camp, and he primarily trained in Russia, right? Khamzat Chimaev trained in Russia, United Emirates, and then he changed his camp, and Sweden, right? A little bit of Sweden. And he changed his camp to, Arman Sarukian's gym, right, in California, wherever they train, at the Jackson gym. And then they ended up taking his O. He's not undefeated anymore. Same thing happened with Ilia Topuria yesterday. Well, right, if it's midnight, I guess it's today. Ilia Topuria started training in Miami. It wasn't even Alicante, Spain, or Spain like it was before. And as soon as I knew that, this is the thing, is that I'm doing a research, and some of you may be interested, but there are higher chances of losing if you're a mixed martial artist, if you're from the U.S., or specifically, if you travel from another country, like, for example, Habib Nurmagomedov, Islam Makhachev, they had a really good balance in that they would train in Russia. Like Islam Makhachev right now is training in, last footage I saw, training was in Russia. When fighters first do that, that's a huge hurdle to overcome. It's not that it makes you necessarily weaker, like if you transition, right? Like Ilia Topuria training originally in Spain and now in Miami. For his last fight camp, he trained in majority, like Miami, like Florida, where he moved. And then, as you all know, there's a drama with him and his wife, and I don't want to get into that respect. But hopefully the family's doing better. I saw the son, who reminds me of me and my son, training and hitting the bags and, all that great dad energy. And I'll go get my great dad hat over here, just so it fits the thing, because what I learned a lot this week from UFC is training, right? I train my kids every day, and I'm going to do my best to... I have one here, my blue one. I was looking for red. Oh, I know where red is. Red is on Krishna Buddha. Here, come with me. We're going to see if Krishna wants to do a trade. Just because, the Donald Trump MAGA cap and hat is red, and that's where the event took place. So, it's not a MAGA hat, but it's best dad energy. And that's what Ilia Topuria showed. So, Ilia Topuria, tú sabes, hiciste lo más mejor que tú pudiste hacer. Buen trabajo, enfócate. Ya tú sabes lo que tú tienes que hacer. Buena energía, bendiciones. Espero que te recuperes. Y ojalá un día yo visite allá Alicante. Como tengo ancestros, familia allá de Alicante y Georgia también. So, yeah, man, going back to the bout, right? I'm doing I'm working around the subject, and the subject is, what happened at that match? Well, what happened at the match is, that's American training right there. He changed his gym. He's no longer in Spain. He's training in Miami. Khamzat faced the same thing. I hoped that it wouldn't affect Ilia too much. I hoped that he would, because that's not the best Ilia we've seen. Ilia before, who was the last person Ilia went against? Was it Volkanovski? Ilia then, in my opinion, would be Ilia now. Yeah, he did go up a weight, but he did, win the belt. That's my opinion. That's from footage that I've seen. That's from trends. I know how, and I've trained all over the world. I've seen what it does. There's a certain change, a shift in mentality, a luxury. And yeah, you can still be in the grind. But there's a luxury versus when you train somewhere like Dagestan, when you train somewhere like Alicante, Spain, or Khamzat Chimaev, Chechnya, right? When you train, or specifically, I want to specifically mention Khamzat Chimaev. And I have a little cough right now, so bear with me. Khamzat Chimaev trained in the mountains of Russia, not just Chechnya. So let me know your opinions, everyone. So let me know your opinions, everyone. What do you think? And yeah, it's not saying that I'm martial artists in the United States are weaker because now I train in the United States. I've trained in other countries as well. There's a lot of good fighters, and you can even argue John Jones, #1 pound for pound, undisputed now. But John Jones isn't a clean athlete. Like, he's been busted with a lot of stuff in his system. So when we consider clean athletes, it's John Jones isn't #1 pound for pound on that list. It might be pound for pound on, hey, off the street. And not even that. The only way to figure that out is, the closest thing we have is bare knuckle MMA, which he doesn't do. He does gloves. But, I mean, that's the closest you could get to who would win on the street. Drugged up John Jones, right? A bunch of drugs in him, and like he's been busted before. Or someone claimed who has not ever been busted, right? There's no data, like Ilia Topuria, who, just lost his bout, made the switch to the United States. And notice that if there's a fighter from another country who's undefeated, who is above and beyond the footage from Ilia Topuria before knocking everyone out, and 5'7", he's 5'7", 5 feet 7 inches, and Ilia Topuria, he even from the beginning of the Gagey bout, him walking up like it was just very strange, and I attribute that probably to the training, probably to training in the U.S. Some of you might be upset about this. Chael Sonnen. Oh, what do you mean, America? If you move to America, you end up losing your bouts. Look at the trend. Chechnya, Khamzat. Who else has done that? Islam Makhachev in a way, but he has one loss. I'm not going to get into him now. We'll get into him maybe later. And what happened to, I mentioned Ilia, mentioned Khamzat. Yeah, that's just what I've noticed. I've noticed that the Khabib Nurmagomedov Ego Camp has a really, really solid balance. And that they sprinkle in, Javier Mendez, who's part of, what's that SoCal gym? I was just looking up gyms the other day because Joe Rogan says something about Fijas Zahabi and George St. Pierre, the TriStar gym, a.k.a. American Kickboxing. A.K.A. American Kickboxing Academy. Yeah, that's right. It was in my head the entire time. It's that Canadian gym is stuck in my head because I actually did some research to do some classes over there. Visit Montreal, train with GSP. They have a big banner of Rory McDonald with the Bellator belt. Any more laundry?